Back before the disaster known as 2020, I used to talk to other film students. I know, it's been a long time. Oftentimes these conversations would drift towards who were the greatest innovators in film and what techniques they pioneered. Several films, innovations, and directors came to mind. The deep focus using multiple exposures in Citizen Kane, all the technology made by George Lucas in the original trilogy and the prequels, including the stop-motion effects of the original trilogy and the motion capture of the prequels, the 3D by James Cameron's Avatar, and the popularization of CGI by Steven Spielberg. It struck me one day that in these conversations there is one incredibly seminal filmmaker that is usually missing. That filmmaker is Sergei Eisenstein, and the film is 1926's Battleship Potemkin. This film pioneered many techniques used today, including intellectual montage and unorthodox camera angles that are now commonplace in cinema. Eisenstein's use of intellectual montage is very famous within Battleship Potemkin. The use of different lines in sequence to signify that the people will keep fighting was a moment of genius that was highly influential to many filmmakers. We can see many sequences in other films that echo this sequence. In Godfather, we see a baptism while a killing spree happens, signifying that Michael Corleone has been reborn into a brutal gangster like his father. In Star Wars, Luke stares at the two suns in the distance, showing that he longs for greater horizons. The use of camera angles also has many imitations in later cinema. The Odessa Steps sequence in particular has several direct homages. We can see one in Star Wars Revenge of the Sith and another in Brian De Palma's The Untouchables. This type of montage is utilized in a lot of films by the group known as the Movie Brats, a group that includes Martin Scorsese, Francis Ford Coppola, Brian De Palma, and of course, a young George Lucas. There are even interviews online, oddly enough, where George Lucas praises early Soviet film, saying it was more creative than the Hollywood system of the time because of a lack of profit incentive.
Russia was like this, but we were like this.
An incredibly ironic statement from a man known for incessant merchandising.
Spaceballs the coloring book. Spaceballs the lunchbox. Spaceballs the breakfast cereal. Spaceballs the flamethrower. The kids love this one.
Before Potemkin in the montage movement, movies were far more analogous to plays. The camera did not move much. In most films, the actors conveyed emotions, and maybe occasionally there would be a close-up, like many of the films of D.W. Griffith. Montage filmmakers such as Eisenstein moved the camera quite a bit to illustrate power dynamics. When we look at films of previous movements and compare to Eisenstein, we can see this. German Expressionism tended to use elaborate sets with false perspective and wide shots to catch the viewer's eye. French Impressionists used different shots but did not have much variation in angles. In conclusion, I see the montage movement, particularly the work of Sergei Eisenstein in Battleship Potemkin, as pivotal to nowadays cinema. The camera angles and editing are an invaluable part of film language. So the next time I see my fellow filmmakers, I will mention the works of Sergei Eisenstein.